We're live, a casual take with your boy Steven Pepper, here to give a take off my chest. So we all know Matthew Judon is a Falcon. I talked about the trade yesterday. If you watched, right? You did? You didn't know? Okay, but you're watching today, right? Because a couple hours after yesterday's episode, the Falcons weren't done. They signed former All-Pro from the Broncos safety Justin Simmons for a 1-year, $8 million contract. The Falcons keep winning this offseason. And you know what? I'm going to spend today doubling down on my feelings for this team. Because I was thinking about this yesterday on my way to the gym. This Falcons team feels like 09 Minnesota Vikings. What I mean by this, you got two teams who bring in a veteran quarterback so they can finally get the position right. And although they're older, they still have about a Pro Bowl season left in them. Everyone tells me that Bijan Robinson's some generational running back. Weren't they saying the same thing about AP? Both teams got perimeter dynamic threats. Sidney Rice, Percy Harvin, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, all pros across the offensive lines. And now with this Judon trade and Simmons signing to go along with a Jesse Bates, dare I say, the Falcons are elite defense? Because the Vikings were with guys like Jared Allen and Antoine Winfield Sr. And coincidentally, both teams had a head coach who were coordinators behind an offensive genius in the Super Bowl. So, I mean, like the Vikings won 12 games and went to an NFC championship game, not just because they were talented, because they had the second easiest schedule in the league. Do you know who has the second easiest schedule this season? Do I have to put two and two together for you? So what I'm trying to say is what's stopping the Falcons from winning 10, 11, maybe 12 games, getting a playoff win? Because the threshold for my lifetime, outside of a couple great Drew Brees years and an MVP season from Matt Ryan and Cam Newton, in the NFC South has always been first to 9 wins, gets this division, hosts a home playoff game. And last season, the Bucs did it. They won 9 and 10 games. What a playoff game at home. And almost beat Detroit in that second rounder. That's with Baker Mayfield at the helm. And I love me some Baker. Don't get me wrong. But I think we can all agree that Kirk Cousins is better. So if the Vikings can go from 10 wins and a wild card round exit, insert Brett Favre, and then go to 12 wins and an NFC championship game appearance. And I think was a Brett Favre interception away from going to the Super Bowl, and who knows what happens in that game. Why can't the Falcons insert Kirk Cousins after going 7 wins in the last 2 seasons with Taylor Heineke and Desmond Ridder? I mean, you can't get worse than that. But you insert a grown-up in Kirk Cousins, who before, I know he has to bounce back from his Achilles injury, but before that, in Minnesota last season, he was playing like an MVP, some of his best ball of his career. You insert him, why can't they win 10, 11, maybe 12 games? They're going to host a home playoff game because they got the division. Why can't they win 1, maybe 2? Who knows, depending on the right side of the bracket. Why can't they do that? Again, the Vikings were really talented. They had, I think, the 4th total defense in the NFL in 2009. Jared Allen, Winfield, they had some guys. And so the Falcons, they had the 11th best defense last year. But now they have a young defensive head coach who won a Super Bowl as a defensive coordinator, who was behind a genius in Sean McVay. They add Kirk Cousins to take less pressure off the defense. And they already had guys like Grady Jarrett, Jesse Bates, A.J. Terrell, Pro Bowler Judon, second-round pick up front from Clemson, and then an all-pro safety. They're going to be a top 10 defense next year and a much better offense. But why the Vikings were also so successful was because they had the second easiest schedule in the league. They played so many bad teams, and their division was pretty open. Year 2 of Aaron Rodgers as a full starter. The Bears were mid, and the Lions were coming off an 0-16 season. For the Falcons, they play Baker Mayfield twice a year. Kirk Cousins is much better than Baker Mayfield. The Falcons are way more talented than the Saints. And do I have to say why Kirk Cousins is better than Derek Carr? And do I even have to mention the Carolina Panthers in this conversation? So you can call me crazy, but I was really thinking about this yesterday when I was working out. So much so that I'm doing some leg presses. This is all I could think about. This was distracting me from hitting the reps I need to hit to grow my chicken legs. That this Falcons team really reminds, as like I was old enough, but thinking about this team, reminds me a lot like the 09 Falcons, the 09 Vikings, where you got two teams who bring in a veteran quarterback on a talented roster so they can win more games. The defense is really good. They had a coach who was a coordinator in a Super Bowl. Their division is wide open. They have an easy schedule. And you look up, this team goes from outside the playoffs or just losing the wild card to, oh, now we're in the NFC Championship game competing for a Super Bowl. Now, I'm not saying that the Falcons are going to be a Brett Favre a Kirk Cousins interception away from a Super Bowl, but why can't they win a playoff game or two? Given that they have the second easiest schedule, they bring in a real quarterback, and this team is really talented. But I appreciate you for tuning in to this episode of A Casual Take. Follow my social medias to stay updated on all things related to the show. And until next time, see you.